I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This One's Wife. 10 reasons why she won't return to the royal family. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There has been something of an attempted charm offensive launched by This One's Wife. In some respects, this might have been done because the royal family has been about other matters. King Charles with a cancer diagnosis and treatment, the Princess of Wales recovering from abdominal surgery, the Prince of Wales occupied mainly in ensuring that his wife is well, and that it might be said that This One's Wife has taken the opportunity to try and make herself shine in the absence of more prominent members of the royal family. It may also be suggested that as a consequence of this PR offensive, that she has been trying to rehabilitate, again, her image in order to make herself more palatable, more acceptable to people with a view to making a return to the royal family. It's certainly something that wouldn't be beyond the attempts of This One's Wife to attempt to return to the royal family and obtain all of the benefits associated with that. Nevertheless, at this point in time, here are 10 reasons, based upon the way that her narcissism works and the way that her narcissism has affected other people, as to why she won't be returning to the royal family. Number 1. The United Kingdom media is still seen as hostile. This One's Wife, as a consequence of her behaviour, both in terms of what she's been doing and the way that she attacked the media itself, has not endeared herself to it in the main. This means that they will utilise repeated opportunities to have a laugh at her expense, to cast a scornful eye in her direction, to criticise her. This has resulted in This One's Wife maintaining that the media is unduly hostile towards her. Describing them as hostile is perhaps placing it a little high. They're certainly not keen upon her. But what matters is how that translates into how This One's Wife's narcissism regards the UK media. And at this stage, it still sees it as hostile to her, meaning that it presents a significant threat to her control, making the UK an unattractive place. The PR offensive, of course, is aimed at changing that and seeks to cause her to be viewed and portrayed in a better light by the media. So far, it isn't having the desired effect. Number 2. The UK population is still seen as hostile. Many people in the United Kingdom gave This One's Wife every opportunity. Indeed, they welcomed her. They saw her as a breath of fresh air, as somebody who came from a different life, who was from a different country, who brought different ideas to the table, that it was interesting to have her coming to the royal family. Furthermore, given the fact that Prince Harry was generally well liked by much of the populace, they were pleased for Harry that he had found love and that he had found somebody. Unfortunately for This One's Wife, but no surprise as a consequence of her narcissism, she then set about alienating much of the population by casting them in the role of racists, by describing people who hitherto had given her every chance as unpleasant and bigoted. The people of the United Kingdom are surprisingly tolerant, and many of the accusations that she has sent in their direction are simply not justified. And as a consequence of the labelling that she has engaged in, and also her behaviours towards other members of the royal family, the goodwill that she first enjoyed, she has lost, and indeed it is now turned into a dislike of her. Therefore, with many people frequently commenting on social media, below the line, and being quoted in newspaper interviews that they don't like her because of the way that she's behaved, her narcissism sees the populace as hostile. Therefore, this amounts to a too great a threat to her control. Again, she's working to change this through the PR offensive and try and reduce the number that are against her, with the balance ultimately going to be written off as unnecessary critics should that number reduce. Of course, there's no guarantee that that will ever happen. Number 3, King Charles simply won't have it at present. The fact is that the cancer treatment and diagnosis is a threat to Charles's control, and he must focus on that. There are other matters within his family that require his attention, and the last thing that he needs is to bring across the ocean somebody who's going to be a repeated thorn in his side. And therefore, he's not going to, at this point at least, look to involve her in rejoining the royal family. Number 4, she still believes that she can do it and go it alone. As we have seen with the recent launch of Sussex.com and American Riviera Orchard, the new care home that has been established in the United States, this one's wife, still deluded, believes that she can go it alone, failing still to recognise that she's only really accepted as a consequence of her links to the royal family and is only known because of the man that she married. She still, with that indefatigable spirit that is driven by her narcissism, believes that she can do it herself, that she is a shining star in her own universe that can stand on her own 2 feet and make a success of it. Therefore, her narcissism continues to drive her in that direction, meaning that she wants to make a success of it in the United States on her own without a return to the royal family. Number 5, William and Kate say no. As a consequence of expert advice, William and Kate know the most appropriate thing to do with this one's wife is to have nothing to do with her. That also means that they want to ensure that she doesn't return. They also have considerable influence with regard to King Charles' decision-making process, and they recognise that she is a major problem. They do not want her returning as a consequence of the disrupting factor that she represents and after the behaviours that she has engaged in previously. Accordingly, they are also viewed as substantial threats to the control of this one's wife because she knows that they don't like her. Number 6. It would actually mean doing some work. If she were to return to the royal family and undertake a role of service, this means that she's got to go out there and do the pressing of flesh, the cutting of ribbons, the small talk, etc., which she regards as beneath her, and that she regards she ought to be paid for her. We know that she is lazy. We know that she is entitled. After all, this is the woman that works 1 hour a week for Archwell. She would need to ensure that there are clear and obvious benefits to her to outweigh the necessity of her having to do some work. At the moment, she prefers the grift over the graft. Number 7. She still wants an apology. This goes to the issue of control. The victimhood of her narcissism tells her that she is the one that has been hard done to, and that everybody else ought to apologise to her. Therefore, she wants to ensure that she gets that as a condition precedent to her return to the United Kingdom. Number 8. Other members of the royal family are seen as problematic. The Princess Royal, the Duke of Edinburgh, the Duchess of Edinburgh. They all regard her as a problem. Prince Andrew probably doesn't have much favourable to say about her, although he's more of a bit part player these days. Mike Tyndall, although he doesn't have a royal title, he and Zara Phillips are no mugs when it comes to understanding the unpleasantness of this one's wife. And therefore, there is a body of individuals that are against her, and this again represents a threat to control. She needs to get them on side, and that has not yet happened. Number 9. She prefers to be the celebrity. Although royalty is what has occasioned her to infamy and also wealth, she would rather be known as being a celebrity rather than being a royal. And, of course, she still hasn't really attained true celebrity status in her own right. This is more likely to happen in the United States, meaning she'd be more likely to stay and not return to the royal family. Number 10. Harry, who remains the intimate partner primary source, at least for now, is far easier to control in the United States. He's isolated from influences that might be problematic. for instance, his own family and also his friends. Therefore, it makes it easier to stay in the United States because it's easier to control him and keep him as the intimate partner of primary source in devaluation. All of these factors, of course, link back to the primary aims. They're linked to the need for control or the nullification of control, the most important aspect of the prime aims. And therefore, once again, by understanding narcissism, you're able to understand why it is this one's wife won't yet return to the royal family. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.